Let's talk about a topic that is in a lot of Kenyan minds at the moment. This is to do with road accidents here in Kenya. So this video is going out at the beginning of October 2025. We just had a very nasty accident that occurred this past weekend where we lost 13 plus people due to a head-on collision involving a Nissan Matatu and a trailer along the Nairobi-Nakuru highway around the Kikopey area. Now, CCTV footage has been shown of how the accident occurred, and people have been discussing quite a lot as to what both drivers could have done to prevent that loss of life. So today, let's dive into this topic of road accidents in Kenya. Let's explore the statistics as well as the major causes and how you can protect yourself as a driver. By the end of the video, you'll hopefully have actionable tips that you can use immediately to help you on these Kenyan roads. So let's begin. Before we cover the solutions, let's first go over the numbers. According to data from NTSA, Kenya records over 3,000 road fatalities each and every year. Currently in 2025, Jan to September, the figure stands at 3,397. And comparing this to last year, we are seeing close to a 10% surge, which is also a very worrying thing. Even more alarming is that close to 80% of these accidents are linked to human error. This means reckless driving, speeding, or just simple negligence. In terms of GDP, the World Health Organization estimates that road traffic injuries cost Kenya up to 5% of our GDP each and every year through lost productivity, medical bills, and property damage. So when we talk about road accidents, we're not just talking about bad luck. We're talking about a national crisis that affects families, businesses, and all of us through the economy as a whole. So why are road accidents so common here in Kenya? Through my research, I've identified 5 key issues which we'll go over. So the first one has to do with speeding. Even from a cultural point of view, as Kenyans, we glorify our matatus, which are known for driving quite fast within the city. And we also have the miraa drivers who drive the proboxes and pickups, who also glorified. So from a cultural point of view, speed is something that we enjoy. Unfortunately, with this speed, it does lead to a lot of mishaps and accidents happening. So as a driver, as we go through these key issues, just rate yourself and see what have you been guilty of. And for this first one, I can say 99% of us are guilty of this at one point or another. The second key issue is reckless overtaking. Now, the tragic accident that occurred over the weekend in Kikopey, it said that the Nissan driver was overtaking recklessly, and this led to the head-on collision. So it has also been a factor in a lot of other accidents across Kenya. Reckless overtaking tends to go hand in hand with speeding, but not all the time. So if you're guilty of speeding, chances are you've also been guilty of reckless overtaking. And Kenyans do love overtaking sometimes in blind corners as well as narrow two-lane roads. Climbing lane discipline is something that a lot of Kenyans don't have. So as a driver, is this something that you've also been guilty of? The third key issue is fatigue. Fatigue mostly applies to the long distance drivers as well as PSV drivers, but also some personal car drivers are guilty of this. You find that you've had a long day, mentally you're tired, you're not there, you're in no condition to drive a car, and you're behind the wheel. This can lead you to being distracted, falling asleep, and it has been noted as being a major cause of accidents on our roads. So again, as a driver, just ask yourself, have you ever driven the car while you're tired, where mentally you're not there? This is something that can lead to a very major accident. The fourth key issue is poor infrastructure. I'm sure you've come across unmarked bumps, potholes, lack of street lighting. This is something that is quite prominent in Kenya. And even recently when I was traveling from Mombasa to Nairobi, I happened to come across a bump that was not marked. It was just by chance that I wasn't going that fast. But I'm sure other drivers have interacted quite badly with that specific bump. So this is something that is prevalent in Kenya. And if you combine that now with what we've discussed, the fatigue, reckless overtaking, and speeding, it's just a recipe for disaster. So all these key issues, they just feed into each other and they just lead now to this pandemic that we can see from the numbers. So let's go now to the next thing. The fifth issue is enforcement gaps. We've seen this time and time again: corruption, weak policing, where a number of officers have been arrested for accepting bribes along major highways, which just leads to many drivers getting away with reckless behavior, as well as having unroadworthy vehicles on our roads. This other side now for driving licenses, I'm sure you've heard of somebody who's literally bought their driving license without even attending a single lesson of driving school, which again just leads to having drivers who do not understand driving theory on the road, which again has been noted as contributing to road accidents here in Kenya. So how can you protect yourself as a driver here in Kenya from all these key issues that we've discussed? It starts with defensive driving. Let's go over some tips that I personally use and you can employ immediately to protect yourself when you're on these Kenyan roads. So firstly, always keep a safe following distance, at least 3 to 4 seconds. I know leaving that gap sometimes, especially when you're within the city, people tend to abuse it. You just find people carelessly cutting in front of you. But if you can, please just maintain that distance. It really helps to prevent an accident. And also on the highway, recently we had a pile-up along the southern bypass that involved around 3 to 4 vehicles. It was primarily caused by not keeping that safe distance, and it's called tailgating. Just avoid tailgating as much as you can. The second thing is scan your mirrors constantly. Don't just focus on the car ahead. Watch what's happening 2, 3, 4 cars in front of you. Use your blind spot monitoring. You just have to be aware of your surrounding at all times. The next thing, when you see a matatu or a boda squeezing in, don't compete. Just back off and give them room. I know this one is so hard as Kenyans because there's something called road rage, and it's so easy to get pissed off when you're driving here in Kenya. But please, just keep your cool and avoid such situations as much as possible. At intersections and roundabouts, this now goes back to the enforcement gaps, where a lot of drivers who are on the roads don't know these simple traffic rules, and they don't even know who has right of way when it comes to an intersection. So even if you have the right of way, please just slow down and check, because many drivers are not stopping. So those are the primary things that you can use from a defensive driving point of view. Let's also cover other tips that you can implement to protect yourself even more. So the next tip to protect yourself while driving here in Kenya is speed control and situational awareness. We've already touched on the situational awareness, where you just keep a lookout using your mirrors, blind spot monitoring, and all that. Now when it comes to speed control, plain and simply, speed kills. And here in Kenya, it kills faster because our roads aren't designed for high performance driving. On highways, I'd recommend you stick to 80 to 100 kilometers an hour. In estates or rural roads, keep it slow. Expect kids, livestock, or bodas darting around. At night, cut your speed even more. Visibility is poor and many cars don't have working lights. The next tip that I have for you to protect yourself is car safety features, and these ones really do matter, especially in 2025 and beyond. So I'll take my Mazda Excel as an example. This car comes with features that can literally save your life, but they only work if you use them. It comes with safety belts, so make sure you're using your safety belts, blind spot monitoring, a reverse camera. So I'm always using these things on a daily basis just to protect myself from accidents as much as possible. Also, when it comes to service, make sure that your tires and your brakes are in good condition, and just ensure that you keep your car in the best working condition possible so that it doesn't let you down in terms of malfunctioning when you're driving, which can also lead to a very bad accident. Now, the next tip is fatigue management. Fatigue is something that we really tend to underestimate. So if you're going for a long trip, please get rest before you drive. Take breaks every 2 to 3 hours, and if you feel sleepy, please just pull over. Fatigue is as dangerous as driving under the influence of alcohol, so do not underestimate that, and make sure you are well rested while driving. The next tip is respect the road conditions. Our roads have a habit of changing overnight. That smooth stretch you drove last week might be a pothole minefield today. So please slow down, especially when it rains. That is when all the poor engineering tends now to surface, because the rain tends to wash away a lot of the road section. So expect the unexpected. And the only way you can practically implement this is by also limiting your speed. So now, with all those tips, at the end of the day, staying safe on Kenyan roads isn't about being the fastest or most aggressive. It's about patience, awareness, and respect. If we all took responsibility, we'd cut the accidents drastically, because again, we say the main causes is human carelessness. Drive safe, stay alert. If you found this video useful, hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who spends a lot of time on the road. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.